Hey guys, Reavtec here. Just quickly wanted to talk about a really good combat pet that I've been using recently in dungeons. It's kinda comparable to E-Drag, yet 5 times cheaper. It's the Griffin pet. Here I'll be comparing the Griffin against E-Drag, Sheep, Tiger, and Wither Skeleton. All pretty decent combat pets. I'll determine which one gets the most value for its cost and strength for a left-click mage build and outside of dungeons. The Griffin, when maxed out, has 10 intelligence, 50 crit damage, 25 strength, 10 magic find, and 10 crit chance as its base stats. You probably already know that is from the Diana Mayor event and takes quite a few materials to craft it. During this damage test, I'll be using 3/4 Necrotic Mythic Shadow Assassin armor with Necrotic Shadow Goggles as my armor set and Shadow Fury as my main damage testing weapon. My stats when recording this is Combat 50 with Foraging 43. I have all talismans recombobulated and I'm Catacombs level 29. This gives me a bonus buff in dungeons of 186%. Now it's time for the damage test. First I'll be damage testing outside of dungeons. I'll be using full renowned Mythic Superior and be using Shadow Fury. I'll be hitting the mobs 10 times each and then finding the average damage. Obviously using the sheep in this scenario wouldn't help because this is in dungeons, so I'll be using the Wither Skeleton. And finally, the Tiger. So obviously as expected, the E-Drag did a lot better than most of the pets, but the Griffin did very similar to it, surprisingly. Now we're gonna go into a dungeon and test how much Mage Beam damage we deal at the start and with all blessings at the end. We have no blessings and I'm using Shadow Fury with my good setup. So first I'll be testing it with E-Drag and then going down the list of pets. So first we did around 10 mil, 9.6 mil on this mob. 9.3, yeah, so that's pretty good. Can I just get a hit, man? So we're doing about 9.5 mil right there. 8.5. 9.3 mil. So we're doing about 300 or 400k less than E-Drag with Griffin out. Now I can try with Sheep. Okay, so 6.969 mil. 7.6. Alright. So we're doing like 2 or 3 mil less than E-Drag and Griffin with Sheep. Now with Wither Skeleton, 3 or 2 mil less than E-Drag and Griffin. Alright, so here's a guy. I'll test if the Wither Skeleton ability actually works in this. Oh, it does! That actually makes the pet actually viable to use. Okay, lastly we're gonna test Tiger, and we still have no buffs. So 7 mil, and you can always hear the proc going off. The 20% chance to strike twice does not work at all with Mage Beam. Now that we've gotten all the blessings we need, I'm gonna start damage testing once again. 28 mil on this Skeletor. 36 mil. So we're doing like upwards of 35 mil or 34 mil per hit, which is kinda insane. And then if I swap to my Griffin, I'm doing 30 mil, 31 mil. So yeah, like 3 mil less than E-Drag at the end, which is quite little, if I'm gonna be honest. Very small difference. And then if I swap to Sheep, obviously this one will be a lot worse than normal. 19 mil. So 20 mil. Around 20 to 21 mil, I'd say. Yeah. And then with Wither Skeleton, I'm doing around 24 mil, which is actually pretty good because it will take that same damage. That's really good. And then Tiger is around 25 mil, I'm pretty sure. Let me see. 23. Yeah, so around 23 mil with Tiger, which is, you know, that's alright. So since the Leaping Sword strategy got patched that I uploaded, there's a new strat and it's literally just you TP up here, you go behind this little thingy, I don't even know what it is, it's like a bird. And then you just watch these guys spawn in, place your flux or whatever, and then just spam Yeti Sword. Wait. Well, as you can see, I absolutely threw that run. I don't know what I was doing. But I was able to test my damage during the run. The E-Drag, as expected, was doing the most damage, but the Griffin was very close to it. It was only doing 2 to 3 mil less, or around 10%. which is insanely good for its price. As for the other pets, they were all quite mediocre, but the one that stood out the most was the Wither Skeleton pet, since it did 2 extra ticks of damage, which as a result, you can hit a mini boss once and it'll just die. Also, I'd like to point out that a lot of people have come to me saying, why am I only hitting for 1 mil damage at the end, or something similar to that. And the reason is, left click mage is only really good if you have half decent stuff, like most of the talismans in the game, having decently high combat, having good gear, and having a high catacombs level. All these things factor in your damage, and when I'm testing mine, I basically have it maxed out. So don't set your hopes too high for this, although it is really good. Now here, I've come up with a list of pros and cons comparing both the E-Drag and Griffin pet, as that's why you clicked this video. So the pros for the Griffin is, it only costs 54 mil compared to the Ender Dragon, which is 260 mil or upwards of 540 mil when normal. That's 5 times more expensive or 10 times more expensive. Griffin can be used during mythological event, which is literally the most profitable event possible. Like, I grinded for maybe 30 hours during the event and I got over 350 mil. Like, it's crazy good. You can level the Griffin much easier since you can put a combat XP boost on it, while if you have like a tier boosted E-Drag, you can't do anything about it. It only does 10% less damage than a tier boosted Ender Dragon for half the price. It has the same crit chance, crit damage, with more overall strength and 10 magic find. The Griffin also gives permanent strength 8 and regen 7, which is good for dungeons since you can use something like a rabbit pot along with it. The cons are, it's not the best pet in the game, and it's lacking in stats like EHP, mana, pet luck, and attack speed. Also, one of the main reasons I'm vouching for the Griffin pet is because most players can't afford E-Drag. It's like 270 mil or 540 mil for a normal one. Griffin is the same cost as a Midas sword right now, and you're able to put a pet item on it, which is good. Now that you've watched this video, maybe consider buying a Griffin, as it will help you do a lot more damage while in dungeons.